And the shape of that as a torso is pretty cool. That's weird. The set came like this. Technic. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to 2025. Before starting off this video, I have to say a massive thank you to everyone who has liked, commented, and subscribed and shared the videos around, because we're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and that's within 3 months of being on YouTube. So a massive thank you, and I'm super curious to see where the channel goes in 2025. And I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. I know I did, because my partner didn't seem to know the difference between a wish list and a shopping list, and ended up getting me everything on my wish list. And when I say everything, this is what I'm talking about. As you may have noticed, I have only explored the LEGO Star Wars sets so far on the channel, but I'm very curious to explore the Ninjago theme for various reasons that I'll get into later. But I had put these two sets on my wish list because I think they're a great price and they've got great building techniques and play value. And I really don't think a set has to be expensive for it to be good. And that's why I got so surprised that she had bought this too. This is a set that I probably wouldn't even get for myself because it's, first of all, massive and it's epic, and I don't know where I'll put this thing. And I thought that just with the dragon itself, it would be a good set, but it comes with this throne, which makes it just ridiculously awesome, but also big. So clearly she didn't really understand the assignment. I thought maybe she can get me the car, or maybe just the wolf set, or if I'm super lucky, she'll get me both. Or if I'm mega lucky, I'll get just this set. I didn't just get what I put on my list. She went above and beyond and picked up these two poly bags that we'll be using for a Valentine's Day video, and build them in a quite fun way. So stay tuned for that. But we're actually not here to talk about any of these sets today. We're here to talk about an amazing deal that I got on the Black Friday sales. I'm of course talking about Kai's Ninja Climber Mech. 623 pieces, 4 minifigs, and $43 is what I spent on this set, instead of the $84 that it was running for prior to the Black Friday sales. That is a steal. It's no surprise to me why Ninjago has been such a successful theme, going on 14 years now, which is longer than most of LEGO's original themes. But I think it's because they learned their lessons from their past. Ninjago seems to be carrying a lot of history in its inspiration from various original themes, such as Exo-Force. I think it's very apparent in this specific set, considering it has that anime Japanese style mech, along with the fact that it is a mech, which is everything that Exo-Force was exploring, along with a little hints of LEGO Vikings in the creature designs. We have a big wolf in one of the sets, and we also have various dragons and various other mythical creatures, which is something that LEGO Vikings first introduced. We also see hints from LEGO Chima in the animal style vehicles, and a little bit of Bionicle, I think, because the characters in this theme seem to have the same colors as the Bionicle characters. And I know that that's something that a lot of different franchises have explored, such as Power Rangers. But I think it's very clear that LEGO's done it before and it worked, and they did it again with Ninjago, and it's working even better now. There's definitely other hints of other themes here and there. I think you can find Alpha Team if you look hard enough, but let's get started and look at the box design. Taking a look at the front, it's very striking, and we have the chapter of this theme, which I think is Dragon Rising. We have all our characters listed down below. We have Kai in his climber gear, and we have Jay in his climber gear too, Wildfire, and Jordana. These are characters that I'm completely unfamiliar with, but they look great. We also seem to have a little bit of an Easter egg referring to the Source Dragon of Motion in the background with its little throne at the top, which we will be exploring in a later set. Taking a look at the side here, we have Kai with some sort of rope weapon. But when we take a look at the back, that's when things get uninteresting. This gives me the Bionicle Fever Dream vibe. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Bionicle Dream, but it's essentially kind of like you're walking through an old Walmart or a Toys R Us, and you see the Bionicles are back on the shelf, but something is a little bit off. Either it's the design of the Bionicles, they just don't feel like they used to, Or it might just be that the canisters don't look the same. Something is off. And to me, this looks very off. Usually on the back, you get various pictures showcasing how you can use the set, or if it has motion or different poses along with play features. Here's just one big image of the set itself. It is super weird to me to see something this simplistic. I'm not sure if it's just that I'm old or if this is what kids are into now, but it just seems a little bit too simple and it kind of weirds me out a little bit. Let me know if you've had this Bionicle dream or know what I'm talking about. You can look it up on YouTube. There's a pretty good video out there about this concept. Since there isn't really that much more to say about the box design, let's crack this bad boy open. Before emptying out the pieces, gotta use the Gentleman's Lego Club tray. Okay. Once you pop open the box, you get 6 bags and unfortunately a sticker sheet, but it's not that crazy. And I do think that the detail that is here could have maybe been done in printing, but at least we'll get stickers to add that extra flair. The instructions don't look the most interesting, but it is what it is at this point. I don't think LEGO is as much into the idea of creative play, but it'll do the job and hopefully we'll get our mech by the end of it. We do have the plastic bags once again. Even though this is a 2024 set, it somehow missed the wave of using paper bags, which honestly I'm actually kind of happy about because I love being able to look through these plastic bags and see the new parts that I've never used before. We have these hook blades that remind me a bit of Galimata from the 2001 wave of the original Bionicle sets, along with some Knight's Kingdom ratchet joints that I'll be very happy to see how they use it. And I know when I see a joint like that we're going to have some good stability as well. And there is another piece in here that I think is from Knight's Kingdom, but like the original piece, it's been updated. So we'll take a look at that at a later point. Bag number 1. Before starting the building process, one thing that struck my eye is this sword piece with the translucent red right here. This kind of detail is definitely a sign of that this theme is doing well when they're doing special molds like this. Starting off, we're building the Kai character and it is super well detailed. It has these little armor pieces that are way more detailed than anything we got in Exo-Force. The only thing we got that was kind of unique to Exo-Force was the rubber hair piece that some people loved, some people didn't. Even though LEGO maybe doesn't promote creativity the same way that they used to before, I think little weapon pieces like this can inspire great play, considering that you can hook it onto whatever you want. So if you're playing outside, hook it onto a branch. If you're playing inside, hook it up to maybe a fish string or whatever you want to play around with. But I really think that something like this does inspire creative play. And I think that's what the Ninjago theme is all about. And I'm very curious to see if I'm right about that speculation. Next up, we have Jordana. And here is that magnificent sword piece. Absolutely awesome. And now we're building her glider, which looks decent. Whoever came up with this colorway, I tip my hat to you because this is such a creative use of colors. I would never have thought to put pink and navy blue together, but it looks pretty good. Moving on to the first step of the mech. Putting on stickers will never feel good, but at least we're getting some sort of detail here. And coming from Exo-Force, the sticker sheet used to be a lot bigger, so having a few of them won't hurt, but at least it's not Exo-Force. But that does look pretty neat. And I think if a theme is doing as well as Ninjago is doing for 14 years it's been running, give us some printed pieces. You know what time it is. This is definitely a new piece for me, and I think it's to make sure that these ratchet joints are stronger than they ever were during Exo-Force or Knight's Kingdom or anything that actually has used these prior. Oh wow, yeah, this is going to be a very stable build. Great for posability and great for if kids are playing around with these, the fact that they will probably stay put and not get loose over time, and very durable it seems. So that is bag number one. Bag number two. Never seen a Technic piece like this. Very curious to see how this is going to be used. Definitely new to me as well. Oh, and we have a little Kai minifig showing us how far along we are in the progress of the set, which is super neat. For being a LEGO original theme, which uses mostly system bricks, I'm quite happy to see that there's Technic builds in here. As a Bionicle fan, of course, I feel that whenever you find these Technic pieces, that's when you know you're building a pretty big and pretty good set. And now that is all locked in. I think this is a new piece for me. Never seen it before. Definitely something that Bionicle mocks would probably love to use because it's a pretty versatile piece. And then we put that here and lock it in here. Put another Technic piece in here. More Technic to lock it in. Loving the amount of Technic here, and yeah, that is a pretty cool shape. Super excited to be building this, and it's very nice to see how sturdy everything is so far. And the shape of that as a torso is pretty cool. Whenever I see this dark red, I just think of the Toa Metru, Toa Vakama, and Likan especially. Someone told me in the comments of the last video that if they use a pink piece that is well hidden, the LEGO employees get cake. And so far it seems that, I mean, none of these pink pieces are hidden, and it's a lighter pink, so no cake so far for the LEGO employees, which makes me very happy because I don't like random colors showing up in my LEGO sets if they don't need to be there. So no cake. Okay, now we have the two of these, so let's move on to the next step. That is a sturdy build. Super cool. This is gonna look amazing. This is looking awesome, and as an Exo-Force fan, this is such an improvement. Granted, it's almost been 20 years, or I think maybe actually 20 years this year since Exo-Force came out, and this is definitely 20 years of progress in the right direction. And it's nice to see that even though maybe Exo-Force didn't make it or hit it right the first time, we're here with Ninjago, where things are quite similar, but definitely improved since. Now we're on to step number 3. First piece that I found in bag number 3 was this piece, and anyone who built Bionicles will know that this was, I think, first introduced in the Toa Hordika. It was kind of where you attached the eyes from the Borok, and it's kind of like the little brain of it all. So yeah, fun to see a Bionicle piece that was introduced 20 years ago, I think, on the dot, show up 20 years later in a Ninjago set. And this is what I mean when I say that this theme is kind of the fruit salad of semi-successful themes that now made it into Ninjago, which has been going for 14 years. And it's borrowing from all these successful themes and creating an even more successful one, but still remaining the history of other successful themes from LEGO. Here is also a new little armor piece that I've never seen before. Not as exciting as Kai's armor piece, but still pretty good. And these little fire pieces, never seen these before either, but anything that's translucent is something that I'll like. For a character named Wildfire, this is the perfect play feature, and it's pretty fun to see it show up here, considering that the play features in the Star Wars sets are quite heavily criticized, considering that they're the same all the time. The stud shooters don't seem to be a fan favorite from the Star Wars community because they're included quite frequently and they don't look very good, and they bulk up the sets in a way that maybe they shouldn't all the time. But Wildfire's little fire pieces here and the play feature, this is a new piece for me. I've seen it show up as a finger piece in some sets. I definitely don't think it looks good as a finger piece. I think it showed up in some of the Marvel mechs, along with Ninjago, of course, but doesn't look great as a finger. But does it look good as a horn? Yeah, looks fantastic. Technic, 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 Technic. I remember when these came the first time in the Titan sets for Bionicle, and they were such an improvement to keep the bigger Titan sets stable. Seeing it show up here only makes sense, considering that this is kind of like a Titan mech. Technic. And that is bag number 3. On to bag number 4. We have 2 left after that, and we're building the feet. So here we have the blue character, which is called Jay, and another one of those very cool detailed figs. Really cool. Ninjago is definitely not sleeping on their print quality along with their specialized pieces. It's so great to see them give this type of theme all their efforts, considering that Exo-Force didn't stay around for too long, LEGO Vikings didn't stay around for too long. A lot of themes that this is inspired by didn't stay around for that long, and clearly they've done something right. They've kept it around for 14 years so far, and I really don't see them going anywhere because a lot of their sets are being improved upon. And I think the first time a LEGO piece and a Bionicle piece merged, such as this one, was in Exo-Force. I remember these quite fondly. They didn't look exactly like this. It's definitely been updated quite a few times. But it's so fun to see. The fact that we're using 2 of these in the feet just screams stability, which is something that Exo-Force is not known for. So it really is great to see that the improvements have been made 20 years later. The fact that this character seems to only have 2 toes as well, so cool, such a cool design. I was thinking it looked a bit flimsy, and yeah, you lock it in with some more of these clip pieces and then layer it on top, and they should be pretty secure. Let's see. Yeah, they can't even move anymore, so that's good. They're really locked in now. Then these Nexonite shields go in the back, locking it in from the sides, adding that little bit of blue as a little bit of a booster in the back. Super awesome. The last section of the feet is this little sticker with a warning sign, which I feel like is very Exo-Force vibes, because Exo-Force would have stickers that would give warnings for almost everything. So it's kind of reminiscent of that too, showing up in a set like this. And now we attach the feet. Not only does it look great, but this is what stability is, and this is 20 years of improving on what Exo-Force used to be. Now we're on to bag number 5. These shell pieces, whenever they show up, you know it's going to be a good set. When it showed up on the Droidica, I knew this is going to look cool, and when it's showing up here, I know it's going to look even better. And it definitely does. And that is the first arm. We're finally onto the hands, and it's pretty great to see that what once were just Exo-Force robot arms, that in the second wave became a robot fingers, which I think was the first time we had posable fingers in LEGO sets. This came out, and now we're using it here, and This is what I mean when I say that Ninjago is quite faithful to its previous successors. And it's just great to see that part of Exo-Force still lives on in this theme as I speculated. This is a new piece for me, but I'm pretty sure that the original design for this part was first introduced in Knight's Kingdom, and now they've revamped it, and here it is in Ninjago. And I really think it's cool to see how we went from buildable knights that used a similar piece to buildable mechs with a similar piece, and I really think it pays that homage that I believe that Ninjago is based off of, and that is why it finds itself being so successful. And now we use the Exo-Force arms as fingers 20 years later, and probably 19 years later than the first time that I think LEGO used this design for the first time. And that's our first hand. That's weird, the set came like this. Getting close to the finish line. We still have the back arms that I'm super curious to see how they turn out. But so far it's pretty beefy, pretty sizable. Very excited. I don't think it was this exact piece, but back in the day there was the Borok Va, I think they were called. It was like the mini versions of the Boroks that carried around a crown on their back. There was one that was green that used, I don't think this exact samurai sword piece, but it used something quite similar. So again, carrying on legacy. It's pretty fun to see. I mean, that is pretty badass, and it's not even done yet, so best is still to come. But the posability, I mean, this thing isn't moving at all when you shake it around. That is 20 years of improvement right there. And final bag, number 6. In this section, we're building these arms that are going to attach in the back, which looks really cool. And one feature that I'm really excited to install is the rope, because any LEGO set that has a rope and a hook, you're gonna have a fun time. Technic. 24 years ago, we got the original Toa Mata characters. Gali, the blue character, had these type of hooks in her set as her weapons, and it's really cool to see a hook element like this supporting Technic connections show up in a Ninjago set. And I think for a Bionicle or Exo-Force fan, this really is a theme that kind of will capture that nostalgia and magic that those themes supported back in the day. During the Toa Mari theme, we got a LEGO Bionicle Titan called Hydraxon, which actually used the same gunmetal gray Exo-Force arms as fingers. And I think that may have been one of the first times that a Bionicle theme actually had posable fingers. I know that the Titan version of Toa Mata Nui also had it, but I think this may have been one of the first times. Gadunka also had somewhat posable claws, but as fingers, I think this may have been the first one that had posable ones. And that is our third arm. I'm really interested in exploring a lot more of these Ninjago sets, considering that they really do carry a lot of LEGO history, and since a lot of the source material, I would say, isn't on the shelves anymore, this is as close as you're gonna get. We're not going to get new LEGO Viking sets, I don't think, anytime soon, especially not in that style. And we're not getting Exo-Force sets, except it did make a little cameo in a recent LEGO City set, I think. But we're never really gonna get that type of magic again, and Ninjago has proven itself worthy of staying around for 14 years. So if we're gonna trust one theme to get it right, it's gonna be this one. Technic. That attaches like that. Super cool. Super fresh. And that is the final arm. So the set is done. As always, we're gonna start off by looking at the minifigs. First off, we have Kai with a katana and a hook blade. Kai comes with a dual face print and this really cool armor piece, and some really neat back printing. Then we have Jay with the same weapons. He also comes with a dual face print, and you can slide their katanas into the armor piece on the back. Then we have Wildfire with these really cool fire pieces that you can launch. She doesn't have a dual face print, but pretty neat back printing. Then we have Jordana with her awesome glider and really cool sword. She does have dual face printing and some neat back printing. When taking a closer look at Jay and Kai, I realized that these two characters seemed eerily familiar, and it wasn't just the katana piece, but their hoods and generally the way that these ninjas looked. And then it struck me that there was another LEGO theme that reminded me of Ninjago, and it's not just Exo-Force, but the ninja theme from 1998, where that katana piece was first introduced. Not only do the characters look alike, but they still support the exact same weapon pieces. I realized if you put the ninja theme and Exo-Force theme together and spice it with Chima and some other themes in there, that's when you end up with Ninjago. Going into Ninjago, I didn't think it would be so much Technic pieces involved, and I was very happy to see them being used because they do create a very stable set and it's very durable. When you shake it around, not much is moving around, and that is an amazing update from the Exo-Force sets that I grew up on. I only have two small remarks when it comes to the design of the set, which is we lack complete elbow movement, only hand and shoulder rotations, and that Kai is not very stable inside of his cockpit, which could have been solved by removing the smooth tiles inside of it and removing that clip piece that goes between the legs. It doesn't really hold the character in place, and I'm not sure why we're using smooth tiles inside of it, but that's my only critique. But it can easily be solved by pushing the helmet of the mech down. Then he's pretty locked in place, but otherwise, very flimsy. As if 2 arms weren't enough, we got 4 in this set, and there's also some shoulder rotation in this part and some posable hands and fingers. And then of course on the right side, you also have the hook that you can detach and then clip onto whatever you want. And this is not going anywhere. It is very sturdy. So you can have all the fun you want inside or outside with a set like this, which I think kind of answers my initial question, is Ninjago all about playability? And I definitely think it is, because you get so much versatility with a mech like this. And adding in the little glider, you can have a crazy fun battle indoor or outdoor or wherever you want to play with these sets. And if you want to pose them, there are many opportunities to pose them in different battle scenarios. Although Jordana's glider isn't very big, it does add a lot of play value for a set like this. It's definitely not going to battle the mech, but you can still have fun with it and kind of have it attack it, kind of like a bird versus a gorilla. It can still annoy it and get some sort of damage in, but it's not gonna last in a long battle. When it comes to the build experience, this was way more intricate than anything that Knight's Kingdom could have ever done with their ratchet joint system, along with Exo-Force, considering that this really takes a blend of Technic and what Exo-Force introduced and some regular system bricks. I really don't think that the stickers were an issue in this set. Particularly, I think that the pieces that they chose to put the stickers onto made sense and they were not that hard to apply, and compared to Exo-Force, it was a breeze in the wind because this wasn't that difficult and it didn't take away from the experience at all. The build experience of the mecha itself wasn't very repetitive. If you've built a Bionicle Titan set, you know how it goes. You do have to build 2 legs, 2 feet, 2 arms. And generally the cockpit area was the one I had the most fun with because it was so unique seeing how all the pieces locked, and generally a lot of these elements like the legs and arms had a lot of locking techniques that were super fun to experience for the first time. When it comes to buying a LEGO set, there are 2 things I'm always looking for: playability and building experience, and this is definitely a set that highlights both of those, considering that you get a glider, which you can play around with however you want, and the mech itself. You can play out different scenarios where Kai and Jay take turns using the mech along with Wildfire, or maybe Jordana takes over the mech and they have to battle it out. There's a lot of scenarios you can play out. But I also realized that one of the Ninja sets from 1998, I believe it was, actually came with a glider too. So there's a lot of homage in this theme, and I think that's great moving forward in the future with LEGO, but also looking back at the past. For those of you who don't know what Exo-Force is, this is what I've been referencing the entire time, and I think you can tell straight away that there are some similarities in these sets, especially when it comes to the sticker usage here and there. If there would ever be a revival of Exo-Force, I think the best way to bring it back would be through Ninjago, and it would be the coolest thing ever to see the different themes battling it out. There are so many different storylines that you could have, and if you have some sets at home, I truly encourage you to put them alongside each other and see where their similarities are. You can play out so many cool different scenarios. It is great to see that Ninjago has successfully picked up the pieces where themes such as Exo-Force, Ninja, and Vikings, and so many other themes have fallen apart. With that said, I need to say a massive thank you to everyone who made the end of 2024 such a special time for me. Whether you subscribed to the channel, liked, or commented on a video, thank you so much. And with that said, I need to now go and walk my dog.